founder of Wyld. I believe it's like a disruptive startup in for the social currency, and he was recently also pitched at Shark Tank. So I have a big list of qualities why like I think he's an amazing friend. In IIT Bombay days, like we had a group called Bro Code, and one of the thing which made this group special is like we have more than 50% of startup founders in that group. So yes, is one of them, and I think the way he approached startup after IIT from civil engineering has a lots of insight and interesting stories to share, and that's why I thought it would be great to have him on the show. Thanks a lot, Yash, for being on the show.
Awesome, dude. My pleasure, man. Let's get started.
First, I want to share like few qualities which I really admire about you. So in IIT, like we have a running joke where like everyone in the insti like knows him, like Sakhlecha ke contacts sabke hai. so so he has that personality in him where he's very social, connect very well connected. And even I had this chat with Pranjal where you are the guy who like shows up no matter how busy you are, except uh, the day before Rushav's wedding. But every time, like even at someone who is like US friend leaving airport, he would show up at the airport, and that's a very special quality of like you, uh, which
I should have had Rushab's wedding, though, at least the wedding day. Only one day before. That day, though, I was there.
the presence counts, but we were missing you a lot. So Saku, like take us to your days of IIT. Like how is like day one Saku version versus the Saku version who graduated? What was the major difference you see in both versions?
Dude, so this thing that you said that, I was very social and very well connected in college. So before getting into IIT, I was one of the biggest introverts you could have met. I barely spoke to people, and it was very different, right? And I don't know what happened during college, but I had come to IIT with the mindset that, yeah, I want to make the most out of these, 4 years that I have in college. And throughout college, I think matlab, one great thing about IIT is also the number of opportunities that the college provides you, and the number of events which happens. It's incredible, right? Every day, like, you will get tired, but there won't be any dearth of opportunities, right? So I think that's one thing I did very, very well. I sort of, tried being a part of as many things and took up as many opportunities as possible. And I think that did, open a lot of doors for me, help me build my connections, networks, and lots of friends and all of that, right? So I think that was great, and that also changed me as a person. So higher, I think that's one of the biggest changes which happened.
If I were to ask like top three highlights of your IIT Bombay days, what would those be?
So hands down, like friends is like at the top, right? The kind of friends you've made during college, even right now, even if I don't talk to someone for 2 years, 3 years, and you just pick up the phone, you're just back there, right? And college had that homely feeling, especially the entire campus. You just walk down the road, every other person's like a friend, this, that, and matlab, it was just amazing, right? Matlab, used to own that place during those 4 years, and that was I don't think so any feeling can compare to that. In terms of events, I think like one crazy thing that happened for me was Semex. Then I was heading Mood Indigo, and the third was just a lot of startups. Right, like I think these are the three things that stand out for me. So like I think right, like I've at least tried 6 7 things during college, and so yeah, I think these are the three things that sort of just come to my mind right now.
This this reminded me of a startup idea of first year. Would you mind sharing that? What was it about? The ambitions and
Here, coming from a business family, for some reason, मतलब कोई भी problem दिखती थी, you directly used to think, यार, what business or like I think that bug was always there, that how can we turn any opportunity into a business, right? And in the first year, what had happened was they had taught us to make a remote control car, right? And it just sounds super super cool even till date, like building your own. remote control car or whatever it is. It just sounds pretty cool, right? And yeah, it started with that it's something cool, and you were just in IIT, and you realize the kind of uh, value the IT tag had across India, and with people, especially with people outside IIT and in schools and colleges, right? So putting one and one together, we thought that it will be great if, and but although building a remote control car sounds very very cool, it is extremely simple, right? And we thought that what if we create a kit or a curriculum out of this and go to various schools and colleges in Mumbai, and there are lots of colleges, right? And because you are from IIT, you will easily get inroads. You can teach the students over there how to make remote control cars and easily start making money, right, in first year of college. So it was I think a no-brainer idea and amazing idea, and it gave us the dreams of becoming millionaires even before we graduated. But the but the hard reality is that nothing ever happened. So like we did give it a shot, right? I don't know if you remember this. Like we ended up buying the entire kit, making the entire kit, and the curriculum and all of that. And I think around then there was a semester exchange. Sorry, the semester had ended, and while we were shifting hostels and all of that, we ended up misplacing and losing that entire kit, right? And that caused the entire thing to end.
Yeah. And who was with you? You, Pratik, and
Naren.
Naren. Yeah, right. I remember. But it was fun. Like even in Goa trip, I remember you, like all the discussions around it. And it was very fun. And like you became the CG for Mood Indigo, which is like pretty big achievement. It's very difficult. A lot of politics, a lot of challenges to overcome. Any learnings from that journey of getting elected to being there?
Yeah, so for me, it's never been, so I've never been a goal driven person. It's always been a process driven thing. So, and whatever I've done, the more important thing is that you should enjoy the process, right? So, even when I was trying for Mood Indigo or all of that, even during the Cordy years or like, the junior years, etc., the thought was never that, I want to become the CG or the head of Mood and Pruna concerts head or anything like that, right? Music was a lot of fun. It was one of the cooler jobs and designations out there. And hi, so it was just fun being a part of that group. So, in the early days of Mood Indigo, I started being a part of those concerts. And as that kept proceeding, and I think, that it just turned out pretty well, right? So, um and yeah, as I tell you, like there was no process or anything like that, right? For me, it was very much okay if I became the concert head or I didn't, and luckily I did, right? And that was also an insanely great experience, and always grateful for that opportunity.
Dude, you make it sound so easy and smooth. For context, like it's one of the difficult thing to achieve. Like it's like a lot of people aspire to be a CG. So for people who are watching, but yeah,
Yeah, no, it's definitely quite tough, but it is definitely like really challenging and um, tough, right? But as I told you that in life, even during entrepreneurship and all that, if you keep the end goal in mind, right, it just gets very very challenging, right, and demotivating. Because there are lots of times you can't really control the future and all of that, right? So all you can do is just go with the process.
okay. And were there like during those 4 years any like time you felt like imposter syndrome or like low time?
Yeah, man. So a lot of times you do feel that, right? And again, so friends definitely come to the rescue over there. So I think this one of the incidents that I remember very very clearly was during placements, right? Uh, so during placements, what was happening is that consulting is uh, one of the uh, like the most sought after job which is there, right? And cracking consulting and everything is very very tough. So personally for me, I was very very clear that I don't want to get into consulting or anything, right? I had a very clear goal that yeah, startups is my thing. I want to do something in business and all of that. So I had applied for only 2 3 companies during the entire placement, right? Like I only wanted 2 3 companies, but what happens is when you're sitting for placements, right? During IIT, especially, placement is such a big thing that literally everyone around you is working towards placement, right? And malab, everyone's just crazy behind trying to crack a consulting thing. Everyone's preparing for case studies, this, that. And although I was very clear that I didn't want to go the consulting route, but it's just very tough when everyone around you is sort of trying to work for consulting. Peer pressure sort of just kicks in. You start feeling that FOMO factor, that hey, am I doing the right decision, wrong decision, or something like that. And I remember during that time a very good friend Rohan, I was just having a conversation with him, and he ended up telling me that, dude, matlab, you had your goal clear, just don't, like, it's fine, like, just screw it, just leave it aside, and it's completely all right.
Mm.
So I think that helped a lot. Yeah, so those couple of days, it was very tough, but then I again realized, had the conversation, that what I wanted. And after that, I sort of left consulting and this thing, right? So when in IIT, usually people apply for all sort of placement jobs. They attend their, like, there are at least 100 tests and exams and these kind of things people take before placements. And I literally wrote zero quiz, zero of those assignments or whatever, those tests and all of that are there. And in total, I applied for, I think, 3 companies. Out of that, one was in Delhi, so that again dropped off. So in total, I sat for 2 companies, which is very, very unlike what happens in IIT Bombay. And out of that, again, one company, Abbott. So I didn't have a really great CGPI or CPI, and I didn't get shortlisted. So I literally, for the entire placement, I had one job, opportunity. If I didn't crack it, I was out of IIT Bombay placement. So,
Whoa. High stakes.
but yeah, man. So you just got to go after what you want.
So like this is a good segue from like, okay, what happened after like placement? What was the seed? And what, like, it's one of the biggest decision, right? To go all in on startup. What were the choices you had? How did you made the decision?
Um, Man, so it's never a easy decision. Like as I told you, right? I don't really think about the end goal so much until now. Although that sounds very, very counterintuitive or wrong, I've never had a strategy in life, or I've never thought through life, right? And luckily it's turned out great for me so far. What I know is that whatever I'm doing, I'll give it my 100% at that time, but I don't know where it will go or what will happen, right? So I don't really plan a lot of things. So during college also, like, before we graduated, right? In the final semester, I'd gone for a semester exchange. Right. So, okay, I'll just talk a step back. I think fourth year ke start mein, I had started getting involved in this startup called Soundrex, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So, that happened. So as I was in general telling you that, lot of startup ideas were there, right? So uske pehle also during college, the first was the robot, the remote control car, right? Then I remember I did something in the education space where we were trying to help people find the right career. After that, it was uh, the sorry. So after that, we tried doing something like Farm Easy. That also we tried a lot, and it was a very serious. We ended up going to the Drug and Medical Association, which is there. I'm forgetting the full form, but the Medical Association of India, and these guys ended up saying that, delivering medicines online is illegal and all of that. And we were in college, right? So we are like, who will take who will fight with the government, and we dropped it. And like pharmacy and all of that actually did end up getting lawsuits, but yet they are successful, right? So I tried a lot of things, right? And one of the last things I tried in the last semester of college was some food tech startup. So while I was going for the semester exchange, right, because being a vegetarian, I wanted a good substitute for, how can I get veg food in while going for the semester exchange, right? And that is when I came across this concept of dehydrated food, and I was just so fascinated by it, right? That even though I was going abroad, I ended up, talking to 2 3 of like, apne group ke 2 3 friends, Rohan, Pranav, Pratik, and these guys. And even I was going there, I said that, dude, we'll do this, let's do this. I'm going there, I'll work from there and all of that, right? However impractical it was. And these guys actually did a lot of stuff during that time, right? They traveled to places, did a lot of research, all of that. But sadly, by the end of it, we didn't have anything tangible or concrete. The idea was that, in the last semester, if we are able to crack something or figure out something, we will most probably just end up doing that, right? Like doing that startup and leave our job and actually give entrepreneurship a shot. But unfortunately, we had nothing tangible. And the job offers were very, very lucrative. So I think all of us ended up taking a job. And once we had a job in mind, a job in hand, that, hustle mode and all that is not there so much, right? Then we just took it
Mm.
easy. And I think so. I was in Spain during the doing the semester exchange, and as soon as I came back, I ended up, starting my job, right? And that was again in a startup. It was going really, really well. The company's name was Cleanback Solar. It was a rooftop solar startup, and we were at a very, very early stage at that time also, but it was growing very, very rapidly. And great people, really enjoyed working there. I was getting to learn, everything was good. I used to get to travel a bit and all of that. So life was going well. Yeah, I was pretty happy. And then one day, this same friend of mine, Rohan Jain, uh, he
I
ended
should
up
get Rohan Jain now on the podcast.
he ended up meeting me, and uh, you know so he's studying in Delhi that time, and I was doing my job. This was 6 months into my job, somewhere around December 2017, right? Some December 2017. And he had come to Mumbai, and we were just chatting casually, right? Nothing very serious. And he ends up telling me that, yeah, Yash, you've always wanted to do a startup of your own, right? And get into entrepreneurship. Your dad has some good opportunities. So my dad has a family business and all that. And he's like, just take a start somewhere, right? I was like, let me learn something, get some corporate experience, this, that, and then, I'll maybe sort of jump into it, right? Today I don't know anything. And he was like, on when you're doing entrepreneurship, the learnings always want to be very, very different than what you're doing right now, right? I don't know what happened. Somewhere it made sense. It was a very casual conversation, how friends catch up. But the very next day, I go in and I tell my boss that, dude, I'm thinking of quitting.
Next
Yeah,
day,
the
damn.
next time I went, and I sort of put in my papers, and even my boss was astounded because things were actually going pretty well, right? And that time we were a small team, there was a lot riding on me. So he's like, dude, you mean this year end you want to quit, or the financial year end? I'm like, "No, now." And yeah, that was crazy. And that night itself, I had to go to Rohan's house for dinner. We just catching up again. We chill, all of that. And while leaving, I end up telling him that, dude, remember that, yesterday we were having this conversation. I ended up putting in my papers today. And
I wanted to capture that reaction.
dude, even I wish, man. I've said the story so many times, but he was shell shocked, and it was crazy, right? But that's just who I am, man. Like,
Mm.
sort of impulsive, but once I decide something, then I give it my 100%, right? And so that happened, and then after that, I joined my family business. We have a business of like corporate gifting. And along with that, my dad that time was trying to commercialize some technologies in India. He had gotten some patents from Russia. Didn't really pan out the way we expected. So, but then, I just joined my family business of corporate gifting, and that was also going pretty well. Yeah, I would have worked with them for about a year and a half, sort of a thing. And again, it was going pretty well. Then a friend of mine, sort of school friend.
Rohan
No,
Jain.
this time it's not
No.
Rohan. But a school friend of mine ended up telling me that, hey, there's this guy who has some ideas, and he's trying to start his own startup, and he just wants someone to brainstorm with. So I'm like, sure,
Mm.
yeah, happy to help someone brainstorm with them and all of that. It's always fun. So we ended up meeting. I ended up meeting this guy who had some, 3, 4 ideas, a pure hustler, random, matlab, just doing a lot of random things in life, but like full of energy, right? And he ended up telling me about this entire Instagram space, influencer space, and all of that. And I'm like, dude, matlab, and he had an idea, guy, just let's create a directory of influencers and all of that. And I'm sorry to say that, but I like trashed all of his ideas, told him that what he's building is not great, and he should sort of try and think of better strategies and all. But 2 3 days later, and I go and I also am researching and all of that, and I realize, yeah, matlab, this entire Instagram space is actually exploding. The space looks very very interesting, right? And I got intrigued by the space, so I ended up giving him a call and telling him that, yeah, Dishant, this space looks interesting. I have my hands full with my dad's business. I obviously can't join you, and but more than happy to sort of just help you out and figure this out, right? So that's how we sort of started, got speaking and all of that, and things were going pretty well. Yeah, brainstorming a new idea is always a lot of fun. So I never ended up realizing when from some time it became a decent amount of time, and that time I had a conversation with Dishant saying that, yeah, let's make into a part time thing. I don't really care, kya hota hai, and whatever you want to give me. But like, I'm putting in substantial amount of time, right? And from there, when it became full time, is also something we didn't realize, and it was just a journey, yeah. And my parents are supportive, so it was just a smooth transition out. And Dishant and me started working together somewhere, I think around in 2019, and then after multiple pivots, this that we ended up reaching Wild, and we are at where we are today. So that's the story of how I got into entrepreneurship.
Oh damn. 2013 to 17 IT, then Clean Max, then father's family's business, and
Yeah,
then working with Dashan with multiple pivots to Wild. Okay, and that's amazing. And actually, you are the first one in the group, right? Who for the startup,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then after
I
you,
think,
Pratik, Nikunj,
yeah,
and
Anmol,
then Anmol, myself,
Avinash.
and now Avinash is going. So
Narrates also, I think, always been fascinated with startups, working in startups, and the group energy does rub off, right? So I think Pranjal also right now.
yeah, yeah, it's like this is a good time. I gotta show this photo now. So we have like civil engineer and chemical like back in 2013 in first year, like they were those are the two departments they were together, and in the first floor like we formed this group. And like it was, we did Goa trip in first semester, like bonded like like pretty deeply. And how many even like mode Indigo CGs like in the group, right? It's a pretty big amount. Which
It's
is
pretty iconic and legendary
is-
friend group, man. Got to say.
yeah, yeah, pretty iconic. It's called Bro Code.
And very soon the Bro
And
Code Mafia.
yeah, soon to be Bro Code Mafia. Like that's our ideal. Like okay, we have a lot of startups. We want to support the ecosystem and like help each other out. And I know it's a tough journey. And like tell us how you like mentally manage like your ups and downs during the startup from 2019 till date.
Um, Yeah, it's definitely not been easy, right? But one of the biggest blessings has been this friend circle and this friend group, right? Because all of us have been in that similar journey. You ranting to someone else about a startup, there are a lot of small things, right? And only I think if you've been through that journey, you sort of resonate and relate to it, right? So I think just having the support s- friend group has made a very big difference in my life, and super grateful for that. I remember this one conversation with Pratik, right? Where in college, so like one of the things, I don't know, like, did we become friends because we all were that driven and passionate about entrepreneurship and just driven in life? Or else, it was the other way around, right? But in college, like, Pratik and I always used to just talk about startups and, building something and all of that, right? And right now, I remember a conversation we were having recently, and we are like, if we were to go back to college, we will literally advise everyone that don't start up again. It's not a great idea, and it is extremely tough. And it's just better to sort of just do a job and maybe work at a startup, because there's just too many moving parts in a startup, right? And as you scale, right, and it's very very challenging. But I think again, what helps is you at the end of the day knowing that you've given your 100%. And for a startup to get successful, there are multiple things that need to go right, right? The team, idea, timing, funding, and all of this pl- like a luck plays a big part in all of this, right? And luck, unfortunately, is something that you cannot control. So a lot of times, you just need to be at it and give in your 100% and hope for the best, right?
Mm. Nice. What are your like proudest moments in this startup journey? Like two or three. Share like.
I think the first highlight definitely is meeting with my co-founder, right? Like the entire team, right? The entire team is like literally very very good. With Dishant, we are two very very different kind of people. But despite of being like really radically different kind of people, there's a very high level of trust that we have in each other. So I really trust his skill set and trust him as a person. So that allows me to blindly have faith in him. Then very early on in the journey, my real sister Ashna also ended up joining us, right? And that was also great because having uh, she's also really hardworking and creative and very very good at talking to people. And when you have these kind of people, you can sort of blindly bank on them, trust on them. Uh, they won't leave you sort of during the hard times, right? And that really helps a lot. And then Ridge, who's my third co-founder, he ended up meeting us via mutual acquaintance. Someone introduced us, and Ridge is also someone extremely senior, extremely decorated, very he's in a league of his own, right? And him sort of seeing merit in us, sort of joining our vision and joining us in this journey, it was incredible, right? It's something that we could not have ever imagined. And then after that also, all the early people who joined us, right, even in our tech team and all of that, like fantastic people who have joined us, and they've put in a lot of hard work. So I think just the entire team which has come together and working towards this goal. And it's not been an easy journey, right? Over the past 2 years also, once the idea sounds great, etc., but we've had to go through lots of ups and downs and all of that. And despite of that, they have given it their all. And I think so, yeah, I think team has definitely been the highest highlight of it, right? And the way the entire things come together. um, and yeah, I think always, so when you build a product and people use it, people love it, they give good feedback, and you just suddenly realize, brands sort of give good feedback, and you're like, dude, shit, yeah, we have actually made something. It that sounds absolutely unreal, right? And yeah, I think these are the things that sort of drive me, right? And so Shark Tank happened, funding happened, all of that. So that was all good. I was definitely very very happy. It is a big stress reliever, but I think the other things really drive the move the needle much more for me.
Yeah, like what would be a specific example, like a particular brand or a influencer who gave feedback and you were like, whoa, this
And so lots
or
like that, lots have happened, right? So one of the craziest things was, one of our videos when we had put up on Instagram, right? And it started going viral. So it was with this influencer called Parito Sharma. And I think he was also pretty small that time, like had about a few thousand followers and all of that. And we ended up collaborating with him, and that time our waitlist used to increase about 200, 300 a day and all of that. And this video ended up going viral. People started loving the concept, and overnight we had about 200,000 people join our waitlist. And our
whoa.
website crashed, everything crashed. We were on Webflow guys shut our website thinking that we were having a DDoS attack. And so I had to move our entire form to Google Form. I remember Google Form pe bhi, the minute the Google Form went live, it went live, and 100 entries, 500 entries, 2000 entries. And I'm like, dude, wait, what? So that was crazy. And this was at 10:11 in the night. It was not.
Oh,
So
I could imagine
and
like
you just
the
open the
group.
Google form and tuck 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 tuck. Well, it was unreal. That was unreal. Then Shark Tank happened. So I think wo sab hua. Then I remember the first brand agreeing to pay the cashback, and we're like, oh shit, paisa diya. It was a small amount, but yet those things sort of, I think, matter the most.
Dude, like as a founder, I think I also want to know your opinion. Like sometimes when things are going down or something, like any form of validation is a great positive boost to your like journey and stuff. Like even a paid customer of $10 or $1,000, like
Yeah, it doesn't
the
matter.
amount
Number
doesn't
doesn't
matter
matter.
sometimes. Yeah, it's the
So
validation.
yeah, support all your entrepreneur friends.
Yeah, that's true. If Avinash is watching, he's gonna come after me.
No, but we gotta support him, man. What come after me? You gotta support me.
No, no. there's, there's a backstory to this. That's why. Because-
But yeah,
uh,
startup journey there are more downs and ups. So
mm, I see. That's like, eh, tell me about the culture of Wild. Like all I know is from you, the reels we watch, how the team bonding. Like it's quite evident in the reels. Also, you make like all the team members and stuff. Like, but I wanna know, like,
Man, so the team definitely is wonderful, right? And I think I told you that was, anyways, my top highlight. So the team is beautiful, and culture, I think, is something which is ever evolving, right? So I remember when sort of we had just started, it was just 5, 6 of us. That time you didn't really have to think about culture. Everyone was driven. Everyone was very good at what they were doing, and so I think, but when new people join in, freshers join in, etc., right, whatever they see around you, that sort of starts becoming the culture, right? So we in the company sort of have three values that we sort of try and follow. um, One is honesty, right? That we really ask people to be extremely honest, um, to the level that we understand that we are all humans, right? There are sometimes pressure, there are things going on at home. Sometimes you just don't feel like working, right? Frustration आ जाता है. Just talk about it, right? Rather than saying that यार ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, मैं छुट्टी ले रहा हूँ या ये कर रहा हूँ. Whatever your reason is, we'll support it, right? Just be honest about it. Second is sort of respect everyone, even if it's an intern, the sweeper, the tea guy, or and especially women and all of that. So you need to respect everyone equally. Each one's ideas has equal value and importance. And especially the product that we're creating is for the Gen Z, right? So these guys' ideas we really need to value a lot. And the third thing is ownership. So like really high ownership of what you're doing. Whatever you picked up, you need to do it to the end level and all of that. And we didn't really have any other rules and all, right? The start time, the end time is very, very flexible. We've been very lenient with the team because we really believe in high ownership, right? So we want them to pick
mm,
up their socks rather than we pushing them and telling them that yaar ye karna hai. So a lot of times that also leads to things not happening as efficiently as you want. But yeah, man, it's a
mm,
process. We also seeing where it goes. So
I see.
yeah, I think it's always, I think, a constant learning, right? How to improve, what to learn, and like your 0 to 1 journey, and after that also, like each day is very, very different, right? When we have 5 people, it was very different the way we had to run the office. 5 to 15 people was again very different. Now we are about 25, 30 people. It's very, very different. We got in our first HR and all of that, right? Now there are certain more policies and everything that we have to do.
I see. And do you have any like practice or do for like mental health? Because like in startup, like the amount of work is you can just put in. There's no full stop. But how do you like take a break and like be sane?
Yeah, so I think for everyone it's very different, right? It's definitely not an easy journey, and I think everyone has their own funda to sort of cope up with things and the way they cope up with things. Some people want the weekends off. Some people, want to switch off after a certain time. They want to take breaks, and everyone has their own different way of doing it, right? And I think, like, each one should be like each one to their own, right? The same size fits all does not work. So for me, I am as I told you, right, I sort of can, in a manner, distinguish between the process and the result. So a lot of times when results also don't come in, I sort of pacify myself and focus on what I need to do rather than worry about whether something's happened or not.
Mm,
So I think that's been great for me. And apart from that, just having a morning routine of, like, doing something in the morning or everything, right? Whatever, how much ever work pressure you have, just going for a run or going to the gym or whatever it is, I think that just helps me thoda sa keep sane. And yeah, I think and I'm loving what I'm doing here. So uh, during startups,
That's all that matters.
especially in the early days when you're starting up, right? You're waiting for that one client. There's barely any work. You're just building something, doing something, right? And many a times it gets very frustrating and boring during those times. And you've always sort of fantasized and romanticized this entire startup culture of this hustle and like chaos and all of that, right? Where things are just blowing up, you're making mistakes, people don't know what they're doing, things are going out of hand. And when you are in that situation, right, when there's fire all around you, rather than worrying about it, I think I'm just enjoying it right now, right? So
Nice. And like when you shared that moment where like at 10, 11 p.m., like you see like crazy signups, like those are the moments you remember for life. Like it's
oh yeah,
no one's
absolutely, man. I have it.
yeah.
I have a video recording, so
Wait, I didn't know that. Okay. Also, one thing I got to know, like you went to Vipasana,
yeah.
and tell us like what led to that and how was the experience?
So Rohanjan jumps back in the story.
Dude.
Yeah, man, he's been a big part somehow. So I don't know. Yeah. So I think Vipasa also crazy. मतलब कैसे तो discover हुआ था, right? And Rohan and I were supposed to go for it a long while back. I ended up backing out at the last minute, and Rohan ended up going for it. And uh, yeah, so he also had a pretty good experience, and he had a few things to say about it. But it was like basically each one has your own experience, right? Vipassana is no magic or anything like that. It's a form of meditation technique. So basically, it's a 10-day camp which is there, right? And during those 10 days, you're not allowed to speak to anyone, make eye contact with anyone. You don't have your mobile, internet, no devices, no reading, no writing, nothing, right? So it's just you with your thoughts for 10 days. So it is definitely not easy. And I don't know, there's just something that happened, and I ended up applying for a Vipassana course, and Rohan was always encouraging, and I ended up going for it, man. And so this was, I think, around the time when we had just sort of uh, gotten a commitment about our investment round. Like Better Capital, who was our first investor, he ended up saying that this looks interesting and let's do this. And before his money was going to come in, and the due diligence and all was happening, I'm like, yeah, right now I have 10 days. After that, I don't know when I'll get time. Let me just go for it, right? And I ended up going for it. And it was it was tough, man. It was definitely not easy. And literally the each day I was there, मैंने दिल से रोहन को गाली दी है. And I Rohan from the bottom of my heart, and it was amazing. That gave me solace, and that gave me the strength to continue those 10 days. And he had told me one thing, that take each day at a time, right? Like, don't think about the entire thing. So it was just about surviving each day, one day at a time. And when I came out of Vipassana, it was a great relief. I'm like, shit, dude, it's finally done. And you don't value it so much that time. I was like, yaar, हाँ, मतलब अच्छा था, this, that, it was definitely tough. There was nothing life changing, but there was a lot of philosophy, and you just being able to go through that experience and certain ideas which I started incorporating in my life later on. And that really sort of started helping me a lot, right? One of the things is what I think, repeated multiple times during this conversation also. Don't worry about the results, right? Like, you can't really control your future. And there's this beautiful line from Kung Fu Panda also, that tomorrow is a mystery. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift, and that is why it's called the present, right? So you can only control today, and just worry about today, man. We'll see what happens in the future.
Dude, I didn't know you delivered like such philosophy. Like, एक और हो जाए भाई.
uh, यार
Putting
let
you
me.
on the spot. If you know,
Yeah, so
like,
one of
recall
another,
on
so
top of
there are
your.
lots of these things, right? So another one I really like is you're just a monkey with a plan, right? We take
Mm.
our life too seriously, and all of that, right? But at the end, we ourselves don't. Most of the times, we don't know what we are doing, right? And we sweat the small stuff. So
I see. Anything you wish you would have done differently?
you can only connect dots in the hindsight, right? तो
मुझे लगा ही घुमाएगा.
dude, मतलब और क्या बोलेगा यार तू, like you can have regrets. Well, there are obviously mistakes everyone has done,
Yeah,
right? But those mistakes only lead to everything else. So, uh, yesterday's history, man. Let's not worry about it.
I see. Okay, any like all I wanted is like looking back, a common thing like what I when I read some startup books, they say okay, during your startup journey, a lot of people initially put a lot of time and efforts. They wish, looking back, they would have prioritized health, sleep, or some people say they wish they would have started early because the ideas were constantly flowing, jumping. Like, in that perspective, like, but
Yeah, so one thing which I always tell everyone, right, and especially like to these young interns and a lot of these folks from colleges, it is sort of uh, opposite of what you've just said, right? Where you've said that a lot of these startup books you read where they say that I should have done this, that, and prioritize my health or started early or whatever that is, right? What I believe in is that I'm another Yash Sakhlecha in the making. I'm not. I don't. You're not another Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or something, right? There
mm,
has already been a Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs' life has been extremely unique, right? You trying to imitate him is not going to make you the next Steve Jobs. You trying to imitate Elon Musk is not going to make you the next Elon Musk, right? What you got to do is become the next Mayur Mistri, and I got to become the next Yash Sakhlecha, right? So I think just believe in yourself, know what you're doing, right, and double down on that, right, and just keep going.
dude, that's a really good one. Because like there are some productivity books says you gotta be a morning person. There's some productivity book says you gotta be evening person.
Push forward
I think like trying different things, but figuring out
nothing
what works
matters.
for you is
Each like
the
life
right
is
way.
very very
Yeah.
random. Each day is a different challenge. Just do whatever best you can, and things will work out, man. And just be at it.
Yeah. Dude, I'm curious, like based on your impulsive nature of and like jumping right in, that's great quality. But sometimes that also like affect like okay, your roadmap of priority. Like okay, now you suddenly feel okay, you should develop this feature very fast. But then like okay, it's not in our roadmap or something. Have you faced that kind of challenges?
Yeah, so I've always been impulsive in terms of grabbing opportunities. Whenever I've
Mm.
gotten an opportunity, I've tried optimizing for it, and that second nature never really goes out of hand. So even right now, when I'm on Wild, whenever you get new business ideas and all of that, for a very long time, I tried doing two things at a time and all of that. So, but one thing which was also it's a very good story is when we were just starting off, right? I'd met Dashant and we had just started working together, and I started researching about this entire influencer marketing space. And I realized that Facebook itself is building a platform which is very, very similar to the first product that we built, Inflonite. And any logical, sane argument would be that, dude, if Facebook is building the same thing that you are, right, it makes no sense at all that you take data from their platform and try building your own platform, right? For some reason, Dishant somehow had this stupid theory that once you start something for the next 365 days or 3 years, something like that, that you cannot quit. Once you started something, you need to give it at least 365 days or 3 years. Uska kya funda tha, I don't remember like what either of it was there. But before that, you cannot quit, right? And now that we have started, you cannot quit. We just need to see it through, and then after that, if we fail, it's fine. But and that was the first time he sort of gave me this entire 1 hour lecture, pep talk, all of that. And he's like, no, no, you can't quit, we need to do this. And I sort of believed in our partnership. I saw a lot of synergy with him, and I'm like, "ठीक है, chalo, let's see where this goes," right? And although that didn't really work out, if we would have given up back then, we would have not been here, right? So there have been a
Mm.
lots of downs, and a few ups, but just staying persistent at it. After 4 5 years, we are somewhat somewhere, and have a decent network, all of that. So
Not somewhere. Like your guys are doing amazing. Like I'm very
yet
proud
early
of what
stages,
you have
man.
built,
Yet
and
early stages, but let's see.
yeah, yeah. All right. On a wrapping note, I have a rapid fire. You have like 10 seconds, few words to answer.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, Bucket list, travel city, which you wanted. Go.
I want to do this road trip from India to London, and
Interesting.
yeah,
Your favorite movie?
Three Idiots, Matrix, Ratatouille. Uh, yeah,
Role model?
as I told you, believe in yourself. But no, man, definitely. I think one of the things I love doing is reading a lot of autobiographies. It teaches you a lot. So in India, one of the entrepreneurs I look up to is Ashish Rajani, Book My Show founder. Elon Musk, lot to learn. Steve Jobs, lot to learn. And there are lots of people, right? So, but at the end, like you can't follow one life. So,
What is one thing that most people don't know about you, but they would be surprised if they get to know now?
uh, I I think one of the craziest things, a lot of people know that, right? But one of the most surprising things is that I've traveled to about 18 European countries and 50 cities and all of that in a budget of rupees 1 lakh. That's about, I think, what, $1,000, €1,000.
Yeah. Dude, मेरी 10th country है अभी चल रही है. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, like that's maybe the Marwadi blood works here. That's during your Samex,
Yeah, my
right?
Max, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see. Book, any book or video which made a big influence?
I think one of the videos I would highly like to recommend is there's this graduation convocation speech given by Veerdas, and it is called "Be Stupid," and it is beautiful. It is amazing. Highly recommend it, and very inspiring.
I see. What is wild in 2030? Just only wild answers.
Wild in 2030. Uh, the way the world works.
Elaborate.
So basically, yeah, man, like I see Wild being a part of every transaction, right? So at Wild, we really believe that everyone has a circle of uh, influence, right? Everyone has this network, and later on in life, whenever you're doing a transaction, it is not just going to be the amount you're paying, but it'll also depend that who is paying that amount, right? Whether it is Ambani paying for some product or whether it is a Mayur Mistri paying for some product, right? I think that's how it is going to be. And we want to be at the forefront of it, man.
Amazing. Anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you'd like to end on that note?
uh, uh, I think one thing I would just like to, tell everyone, right? What I was telling, I've mentioned it, sort of, I've touched upon that, we sort of sweat small things a lot, but you never know about where your journey is going to be, right? The most important thing is just being happy throughout the journey, whether you are an entrepreneur trying to follow your passion, doing a job, or whatever it is. I think we should all prioritize happiness, self happiness first, and at the top, and then everything else follows.
Good. Couldn't agree more. Like, if you are not happy with yourself, like your startup and everything else is gonna affect for sure. Like, that's some. But like, wait, what do you do to prioritize your happiness? Give us like some actionable items.
um, as I told you, right? Like you're just a monkey with a plan. Elon, Vida's video, be stupid, right? Like just be stupid in life, man. So another very amazing thing Vidas had said, right? So I don't remember it word by word, but the essence of it was that the day you are successful, right? Go to the roadside vada pav stall and have a vada pav, and the day you fail, go to the most expensive hotel you can think of and have the most expensive glass of champagne, right? Don't let the universe control your life. You own the moment, something like that. If you want, I have the line somewhere written. If you want, I can read it to you.
Dude, that's very
So it
powerful.
is
I
it
wanna
is
I
be
wanna know.
stupid in failure and in success. On the day that you lose all of your money, buy yourself an expensive glass of champagne. On the day that you become a millionaire, go have a 97-cent cheeseburger. Show the universe and more importantly yourself that this moment doesn't own you, you own this moment.
Ooh, that's a great one to end the interview. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yes. I wish all luck in your journey, building amazing. You're inspiring a lot of people. Keep doing it. Happy to have a friend like you in our group.
Thanks for having me, man. And making it super formal.
Right.